Kanye West has one of the most iconic discographies in hip-hop history, and one question that arises is, what's his most underrated album? And I believe that's The Life of Pablo, which celebrates its 5-year anniversary in 2021.
Yes, and guys, welcome into the episode. Let us know what your favorite song off The Life of Pablo is. We're doing this content on the daily, by the way, and I got to agree with you. You know, we wanted to do this episode because we feel as if a lot of people underrate The Life of Pablo. I mean, there's a lot of Kanye albums in discussion when it comes to the community and what the community is talking about. But The Life of Pablo is more on the less side because I feel as if people don't necessarily know where the album places within his discography. Is it in the bottom end? Is it in the middle? Is it in the top 3? Who knows, right? Because it's Kanye's discography. Take something out, replace it, I wouldn't be mad at you. It's always up for grabs. It's always up for toss-up. And I mean, at the end of the day, you're always getting quality and you're always getting innovation with Kanye West, regardless of the album title, regardless of the track list, the features, or the production. It's always going to be innovating, and that's what I love about this. So Lou, take us back to the backstory, man, and let us know what happened.
Yeah, I think what's really interesting is more than the album itself is the creative process that went behind the album. Just because, you know, first of all, it was recorded in multiple countries such as Italy, the US, Mexico. And not only that, but it's more about how The Life of Pablo was an artistic statement more than it was an album, just because of the iconic changes that went on with the album, starting off with the album title. So the album came out in February, and back in January, Kanye was deciphering between how he wanted to title the album. His first title was Swish, then he changed it to Waves, and I think like 2 weeks before the album came out, he finally decided on The Life of Pablo.
And I remember that in real time. I mean, the first updates that we ever got from the new Kanye album was Kim Kardashian was on the cover, shooting a basketball. It was going to be called Swish. And then after that, you heard rumors that it was going to be called Waves. People didn't know what to believe. And finally, we got The Life of Pablo. And it was kind of a weird release because it was a title exclusive, but it was also released on SoundCloud. So people had full access to the album. And it only hit streaming, I believe, a month later. And
more than that, in April.
It was how long exactly? I think
it was 2 months, man. It took 2 months to get on other streaming platforms.
Two months after, and not only that, but I mean the amount of mixes and changes that went into that album is absolutely crazy. I mean, if you look at a song like 30 Hours, he removed the drums off that. You know, if you remember the OG version, it sounds a bit different from that. Chance the Rapper had to add a line on Ultralight Beam. I mean, I remember that from what I'm reading here, and I remember the original version when I first listened to it.
Another change was on the song Famous, where the original line was "She be Puerto Rican Day Parade waving" to "She in school to be a real estate agent." That was another line that he had changed. And what's interesting is that he made these changes after the album had already came out. And this is something that we've never really seen before in hip-hop, just because Kanye made an artistic statement here to say, when is an album really over? When is it really set in stone? And what he did here is, he updated this album like an app.
And that's what he went through it. Yeah, no, I get you on that point, and I think more artists should try to do it just because, there's always improvements that you go through, and listen, the fans like it. I mean, we wouldn't be talking about it if we didn't fuck with it, and there's always room for improvement with it. And I mean, Kanye doesn't care about what people have to say about the album, regardless if they like it or not. He's always going to go back and he's going to go add his own touches. So let's actually get on to the reason why it's underrated and why it's done its thing. One of the biggest reasons for me is because it's probably one of the most complex Kanye albums to date. I mean, there's so much different subject matter, so many different emotions, so many different productions and performances that play into this track list, yet it feels coherent and it feels like a good listen. I also feel as if there's some of Kanye's most personal writing on this, and he's giving you some serious anecdotes and some serious food for thought. Also, he's described this as a gospel album full of swearing. So I mean, this whole album is just ironic at the end of the day.
And I love the choirs that we hear on songs like Ultralight Beam and also on songs like Father Stretch My Hands Pt.1. And more than that, I feel like this is Kanye's rawest album just because you get mood changes from one song to the next. He's in a different state of mind from song to song. And not only that, but I think it has Kanye's most stacked feature list ever. I think it outdoes MBDTF.
Oh, I don't know about that, man.
Can I read you the list of features?
No, I know.
I'll tell you. We have Kendrick Lamar. We have Kid Cudi. We have The Weeknd. We have Chris Brown. We have Chance the Rapper. Andre 3000. Young Thug. Ty Dolla $ign. Rihanna. Post Malone. Frank Ocean. Designer. Sia. Vic Mensa. And more. this is Kanye's most stacked feature list to me.
No, it's definitely the most stacked, but I'm not saying it's his best feature list, though. I'm not going to give it that, though. Like, I mean, none of those features even come close to Rick Ross's verse on Devil in a New Dress, or Nicki Minaj's verse on Monster, or Kid Cudi's part on Gorgeous. Like, I don't think they stack up against that, but I do got to agree with you that it is one of his most stacked feature lists as far as that goes.
And I think what's amazing about Kanye and his collaborators is the fact that whenever someone works on a Kanye project, they feel like it's their project too, just because of the impact that these albums have.
Yeah, that's true. I mean, he reinvents himself with every single project he does. And I mean, you know, any artist does that, right? Any artist tries to push the boundary. And he pushed boundaries on this album. I mean, you know, he was really pushing a narrative for gospel albums to be infused with hip hop. And I mean, you know, he went full with it in 2019 with Jesus is King. But I mean, obviously the transition isn't working because we're hearing that he's going back to some old stuff. And, you know, he's trying out different sounds and different things. But I mean, this was the start to something beautiful, because even if you look at where Chance the Rapper was, I mean, he took Chance the Rapper and he put him on a completely different level with this album. I mean, what this did for careers was even fantastic. And not only that, but there's so much controversy within this. I mean, look, like a song like Famous goes back to the whole Taylor Swift incident, and he just like fuels the flame to the fire. And then after that, the phone calls get out of Kanye trying to talk Taylor Swift into okaying the whole thing going down, and the whole situation thing. It was just a mess. I mean, this album is one big clusterfuck of problems, but it sounds so good, and that's what I like about it. Even the personal anecdotes on, let's say, St. Pablo in 30 Hours, and, you know, everything that's going on there, where he's talking about his cousin stealing his laptop, or he's talking about, you know, driving long distances for friends, and, you know, just the painful things that come with relationships. I like that aspect of the album too. I also like the sort of futuristic sounds that he brought into this track list. Example, like, you know, talk about Father Stretch My Hand with Metro Boomin. Talk about how iconic that production was.
Talk about the Madlib production on No More Parties in L.A.
That was fantastic. Talk about that Kendrick feature. I mean, there is so much going on in this album, and it feels like one whole world, and like Kanye's whole world.
It's so wild, but yet it manages to stay focused at the same time, man. It's amazing.
So listen, I think that's why it's his most underrated. It's just because, listen, it's so fucking complex, and there's so much to talk about it.
And the fact that it keeps evolving, it keeps updating.
Absolutely.
He kept making changes to it. It's beautiful. It's a masterwork.
Absolutely. And when you put that much work into an album, it's just bound to do well over the years. I mean, it's still super receptive with his fans. I know it's a fan favorite as well. I mean, it's a really niche Kanye thing. Besides that, it did have fantastic commercial success as well.
Had a legendary tour.
Absolutely. And I mean, like, that was kind of a how could I put it, a controversial tour, because, you know, at the time he was only doing 30-minute concerts, and he was making people pay all that money. So it was also kind of like, was Kanye in the right mindset when making that album? I don't know. I have my opinion on it. I'm not going to say it online, but listen, at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's a fantastic project. And when we're talking about this, it is definitely one of his best crafted projects. That's without a doubt.
It definitely is. So guys, let us know in the comments what your favorite Kanye West song is off of The Life of Pablo. And we're doing this on the daily, so subscribe for more content just like this.